a variety there's a variety of technology at your disposal, and it seems like at law enforcement's disposal to possibly track the people that did this. Is there anywhere that AI is incorporated into those frameworks?
So there has to be then somebody that you call, because we know the blood. And I went out and visited the house. I was actually out in Tucson. I took a look on the ground. The blood stops at the end of that walkway. You come down a set of steps, come out to the driveway. It ends
at 2:17 a.m., while the rest of the Tucson desert slept under a suffocating, heavy blanket of silence, a signal, invisible, silent, and terrifyingly precise, streaked through the atmosphere. It didn't just travel, it targeted. It bypassed local cell towers, ignored every civilian Wi-Fi network in the foothills, and flashed directly into a secure federal monitoring system located hundreds of miles away. It wasn't just a medical emergency. It was a digital distress call. For decades, we've been told that our internal medical devices are the ultimate lifesavers, silent guardians keeping us tethered to this world. But for Nancy Guthrie, her own heart was about to become the primary witness to her disappearance. This is the moment a pacemaker revealed a secret no one was supposed to see. A moment where biology met a calculated, high-tech conspiracy that sounds more like a ghost in the machine than a kidnapping. Tonight, we go beyond the yellow tape and the standard police reports. We're looking at the raw data, the localized anomalies, and the terrifying possibility that Nancy Guthrie wasn't just taken, she was digitally deprogrammed. To truly understand the digital mystery, we have to start with the physical reality of that night. Nancy Guthrie lived in the Catalina foothills, an area known for its rugged beauty, its extreme privacy, and its crushing isolation. On the morning of her disappearance, the initial responding officers found something strange. Nothing. There was no sign of a struggle inside the home. No broken glass, no scuffed floors, no forced entry. It was as if she had simply evaporated. But the walkway leading away from her side entrance tells a different story. Investigators found faint bloodstains at the very edge of the stone path, right where the manicured lawn meets the desert scrub. It wasn't a pool of blood. It was a series of small, rhythmic drops, like a trail left by someone who had been dragged or had stumbled while losing consciousness. Then, there's the bed theory. Forensic psychologists and crime scene investigators often look at the state of a victim's bed to determine their immediate state of mind before an event. If a bed is neatly made or the blankets are folded back with precision, it suggests a routine, voluntary departure. But Nancy's bed was described as undisturbed, not tossed in a struggle, but perfectly flat. This suggests she never even had the chance to get back into it, or she was coerced by someone she trusted or feared to step outside in her nightclothes. Let's look at the clock, because the timing is where the physics of this case stop making sense. At 2:12 a.m., motion sensors inside the house triggered. Someone was moving. But Nancy was a creature of habit, a deep sleeper who rarely woke before 7 a.m. and almost never wandered the house at night. 5 minutes later, at 2:17 a.m., her pacemaker began to spike. Her heart rate climbed from a resting 60 beats per minute to a staggering 160 in less than 60 seconds. That is the heart rate of a person in a full-blown sprint or a state of sheer, paralyzing terror. Why did she leave the house? And why was an Ozark Trail backpack, later identified in grainy FBI surveillance footage from a nearby gas station, found abandoned 3 miles away in a drainage ditch? It contained nothing but a specialized, high-gain signal jammer and a single pair of surgical gloves. The timeline suggests Nancy wasn't just walking into the night. She was being hunted by someone who knew exactly how to silence her world before they silenced her heart. This is where the case moves from a standard missing persons investigation into the realm of a high-tech thriller. Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker wasn't an old-school, analog model. It was a state-of-the-art, telemetry-enabled device designed to send real-time health data to her medical team via an encrypted cloud. On the night she vanished, the sophisticated security cameras at the Guthrie estate went dark in a way that baffled the installers. Now, a power outage is one thing, but this wasn't an outage. Forensic analysis showed a calculated sequence. The cameras didn't all die at once. They were disabled one by one, following a precise path from the perimeter fence to the front door, as if a digital shadow was walking through the property, turning off the lights as it went. During this blackout, the pacemaker recorded something that shouldn't be possible, a handshake attempt. In the world of cybersecurity, a handshake is when two devices acknowledge each other to start an encrypted conversation. Nancy's heart monitor tried to connect to an unauthorized, ghost device that was less than 10 feet away from her chest. Forensic analysts who looked at the leaked data found what they call a coded burst, a packet of data that didn't belong to the medical manufacturer's software. It was an external override, a command and control signal. Think about the implications of that for a second. If you can hack a car's braking system or a phone's camera, can you hack the electrical impulses of a human heart? There is a theory, whispered by those close to the forensic team, that Nancy was incapacitated not by a physical weapon or a drug, but by her own medical implant. A remote overdrive command could have induced a synthetic panic attack, a sudden drop in blood pressure, or even temporary paralysis. The digital trail didn't just track her disappearance. It may have been the primary tool used to facilitate it. We are talking about a new kind of kidnapping, where the victim's own biology is turned against them from a laptop across the street. To find the who, we have to look at the where. Within a 10-mile radius of the Guthrie home sits a cluster of high-end aerospace labs and private defense technology firms that most people in Tucson don't even know exist. Following the disappearance, anonymous leaks began to surface on private forums regarding a specific firm, Aegis Systems, which specializes in something called encrypted biometric interfaces. A video clip, allegedly smuggled out of a remote operations center on the night of the event, surfaced on the dark web briefly before being scrubbed by a massive DDoS attack. It shows a signal drop event. On the screen, you can clearly see biometric data, heart rate, oxygen levels, and body temperature suddenly plummeting to zero at exactly 2:17 a.m. The operators in the video don't look surprised. They don't call for an ambulance. They look like they're checking off a box on a flight plan. They weren't watching a tragedy. They were monitoring a successful extraction. The mystery deepens when you look at the staff. Days after Nancy vanished, the lead systems architect at this firm resigned. He didn't just quit. He deleted his entire digital existence. His bank accounts were emptied. His house was left fully furnished with a half-eaten meal on the table, and his family hasn't heard from him since. Did he see the same coded burst that the investigators found? Or was he the one who wrote the script? If Nancy Guthrie was the subject of a remote operation, the level of sophistication required is staggering. This wasn't a local kidnapping for ransom. This was a military-grade operation that required satellite access, specialized signal jammers, and deep-level administrative access to medical encryption keys that are supposed to be unbreakable. The question we have to ask is, why her? Was she a witness to something at one of these firms? Or was she simply the most convenient test subject for a technology that is worth billions on the black market? We managed to obtain a fragment of an internal memo from a federal agency that was quickly pushed off the case. It contains a phrase that should chill anyone who values their privacy in this digital age. Probability of external technological involvement exceeds acceptable anomaly threshold. In plain English, the government knew this wasn't a natural event. They officially classified it as an unauthorized proximity event, a term usually reserved for foreign spies or experimental drone interference. There is a growing argument among independent researchers that the search for Nancy Guthrie was never an investigation. It was a containment operation, when a classified experiment goes wrong, or perhaps goes exactly right. The goal of the agencies involved isn't to find the victim and bring them home. The goal is to erase the digital and physical evidence before the public realizes how vulnerable we all are. There is currently a $1 million reward for information leading to Nancy's whereabouts, funded by an anonymous trust. In a case with this much national attention and that kind of money on the table, someone usually talks. Greed usually wins out over loyalty. But in this case, absolute digital silence. Does that silence exist because no one knows anything? Or because the people who do know are terrified of what happens when a heartbeat becomes a line of code that can be deleted with a single keystroke? If they can reach Nancy in her own bed, in a gated community, using her own heart against her, who is actually safe? As we stand back and look at the evidence, two distinct and terrifying paths emerge. The first, Nancy Guthrie was the victim of a targeted, high-tech kidnapping, where her medical history was used as a backdoor to bypass her home security. The second, she was an accidental victim, a signal caught in the crossfire of a classified technological experiment, a proximity event that was never meant to be tested on a human being in the real world. Neither answer brings her home, and neither answer provides closure to a family that is still waiting for a phone call that may never come. But the data doesn't lie. That night in the desert, Nancy's heart told a story of a silent war being fought in the frequencies all around us. A war where we are the battlefield. Now, I want to hear from you. This case goes deeper than almost any disappearance we've covered, and the technological implications are even more frightening than the crime itself. What do you think happened at 2:17 a.m.? Was that heartbeat alert a final, desperate cry for help sent by a woman who knew she was being hunted? Or was it the digital fingerprint left behind by a culprit who thought they'd erased every trace of their presence? Could your own devices be turned against you? Drop your theories in the comments below. I read every single one of them, and your insights often help us find the next lead. If you want us to keep digging into the Guthrie case and the mysterious tech firms operating in the Arizona desert, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm that this story matters and keeps this investigation alive. And if you haven't joined our community yet, subscribe and hit the bell. The next twist in this investigation is already unfolding behind the scenes, and it's coming sooner than you think. Stay vigilant, stay skeptical, and remember, the signal is always watching.